Hi, this is Will over here at Cars, Music, and Movies, and I'd like to give a special thanks to Jonathan Seeger over at GrandPrix Originals for inviting me to this event honoring the 1965 Shelby team. I'd also like to give a big shout out to Jim Marietta and the entire crew over at the OVC, the original Venice Crew.
So I came up with the idea of getting a ring for everybody, like the other world champions get, for football, who actually never play outside the United States, but they're world champions. And and the NFL and the hockey league that only plays in Canada, and the basketball league that never goes outside the United States. They're all world champions. But the Shelby team actually went outside the United States to Europe. And as Carroll would probably put it, we kind of kicked their ass, right, on their own turf. I tried to be as inclusive as possible. And so we got one, for the boss, which would be Carroll. And so, Carroll passed away a few years ago, and we had a great celebration of his life at Peterson. And so I'd like to present this to Aaron, and each ring, has the name of the recipient on the ring. So they're personalized rings. They're not just, I did a whole bunch and then hand them out to people. Okay, so this is Shelby's. And so, you're welcome.
I was at Retromobile last week in Paris, and the enthusiasm around Shelby and what was accomplished then and what we're doing today is as evident as it's ever been. It really is a unique situation that everybody here took part in building what became successful. I get it, at the time you talked to everybody that was there and they were just doing their work. They were doing their job and they were doing what needed to be done to go build cars and win races. They weren't looking at it as glory and this is going to be celebrated 60 years on. But it really is. And it's just a unique time in history that all this came together. And I've been fortunate in my last 10 years of being involved with the company to meet a number of the folks, and I know we've lost a few of them, but it's any chance I get to be able to spend time with any of the original team members, I try and do that. It's really important, and it's fun to see the enthusiasm when you're out at the track today, and you've got the old cars and the new cars that are out there, and it's great to see how that legacy carries forward. So I do want to thank LA SAC for particularly, and Jim and OVC for putting this on this weekend. Really a great event, and we've got a great crowd here. So Randy, thank you very much. Jim, thank you. And we got a lot to talk about tonight, so I appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you.
I went out to the car and go, it's leaning. And I go, so what happened to the car, Vince? Then he said, we just ran out of air. I said, is there something wrong with the suspension? No, we just ran it until all the tread came off the tires, and we had a flat. But it'll be fine. Put a new tire on, everything will be right. There are a number of people that couldn't make it tonight because they wanted to, but they couldn't. They couldn't because of various and sundry reasons, and we miss them, and we really, really wish they were here. And so the first one that I'll mention is John Morton, who is a spectacular guy and a lot of fun and a great driver and a mechanic, and he's just a great guy, all-around good guy. And so he couldn't make it, and we miss him. So. Mike Donovan, I talked to Mike Donovan. He was the one that rode the fender on one of the cars at Le Mans and during the winter. And he rarely wanted to come, but he's just in a shape where he can't make it. But he did mention to say that working at Shelby's was one of the best times of his life in the period of time that he worked there. And they had memories that, he'll take with him and have been with him for 60 years. And it was, he just felt happy to be a part of the team. We always wanted Charlie to be here, so Charlie was, in my mind, I was only 17 at the time, and Charlie was from my point of view, he was, you might say Charlie was a real firecracker kind of guy. Because he used to, throw the firecrackers at people. And as everybody here who worked there knows that, we only had jack stands to work on, so when he rolled one of those cherry bombs under your car, it immediately got your attention. And so we have a ring here for Charlie. We wish he was here. He has some family things he needs to take care of. But we want to honor everything that Charlie did, and he was a great piece of the winning cars in Europe, right? And a great guy. And it was just fun because there was always something going on with Charlie, I can tell you. So it was fun, and I want to make sure that he knows that we all miss him from being here. Charlie Agapoo. Charlie Agapoo. Ken Miles. Oh, yeah.
All right, and we've got Peter here today. I think a lot of you have met Peter over the last few years.
Bernie Crutchmeyer, did a great job working on the GT350s. I was there on the travel team more or less in '64 and a big part of '65. And then after Ford killed the independent rear suspension project, the engineer that I had worked with from Detroit said, "Go back and finish high school and go on and do something. You can always come back and do this later." And so so I took his advice. Of course, my mom and dad told me that about 100 times, but sometimes I'm a little stubborn about things. So anyhow, but I took the advice of the engineer that I worked with, but Bernie went on and worked a lot with Jerry Schwartz and Chuck Antwell to win the '65 championship, and then went on '66 and '67 in slightly different type of cars. A great group of guys. So we want to honor those guys. Every day I went to work at the Venice shop. Legends, every day. And then he texted me another time and said, "I so wish that I could be here with the guys." So I miss Dave. And the other person I consider a really close friend. I worked with this guy. He was the crew chief on the GT350s at the Venice shop, and it's Ted Sutton. And Ted is just such a stellar guy, and he worked on so many projects. And he was there before me, so I can't speak with any great authority. But I believe that he helped build the very first Daytona coupe in the shop when others were a little reluctant to step up to do that. He put the very first 427 in a Cobra, all by himself, and we have a picture of him leaning over the fender, and then there's a great story of how Carroll almost killed him doing the test drive. And then he was the crew chief on the GT350s, and helped us, win the championship in '65. And then he worked with Jim O'Leary and Lou Spencer on the Tiger. So he was involved in a lot of great projects. And Ted has a great mind, and he's very stellar, but he wanted to be here and just couldn't make it. So So we want to honor these guys who wanted to be with us and couldn't, so they just, it's just circumstances that didn't allow them to show up tonight. But I wanted to let everybody know, and so because I'll be talking to most of these guys, to let them know that we all wish them well and wish that they were here and could take part in this ceremony. The championships that we won around the top and the world champion on the bottom. But the most important other things on it is that I acquired parts of the Riverside track and also Willow Springs, because we used to test at both tracks a lot. Fine granules, if you will, of both tracks. Okay, and so that kind of sets the ring apart. That the guys who will get these, or their relatives who are here tonight, who get these, will get a piece of the tracks that we used to spend hours and hours and hours coming and going and testing, and that's what it takes. Right, to win the championships. We won 6 in 65, but then won 3 in 63, and 3 or 4 in 64. And so, it's been a championship team for years, and it was a magical time, 62 to 67. And so I wanted to, I thought it was time that we honor these guys with a world championship ring. And so that's what we're going to do tonight.
Uncle Bob, who I was forced to call him that, because my parents were strict, always kind of looked out for me, and I would see him at different functions. And one time I was down at the driving school, and he goes, "Ricky, I want to take you for a ride." Well, Uncle Bob wore really stylish Italian loafers. Good looking stuff. But I wish he would have scuffed them a little bit before we got in the car, and he was smoking down to the 180-degree corner at the end, and his foot slips off the brake. Now, because he had exceptional skills, he catches it, I'm throwing up, and he's saying, "Oh, sorry, Ricky, shoes are new." Oh, what a relief, Let's talk about Dave McDonald. This kid comes along, no one knows who he is. He had some success in Corvettes, but he had a driving style that nobody had. I mean, you had to watch him, because he made magic. He would have been huge, just huge. Taken from us way too soon. That guy was world-class stuff. And Ken Miles, Pete Brock just said to me recently, we thought he walked on water. He was that good. My father referred to me, he was friends with Ken, and he said all the time, the guy could be world champion. Incredible talent. And if he cared about you, he looked out for you. He actually got my father the drive in the GT350s because they had raced sunbeams together. And Ken knew my dad, and he knew he was quick. And so he said, "I want you to come out." So this poster is actually my father. Bob was there as well. And that was my father's tryout. And he got the run. So there's stories behind the scenes. Good people, amazing legends, and you're all part of that, and I thank you very, very much. Other than that, I am starting a GoFundMe. You can take that as a no. Anyways, God bless you all. Thank you for being here. Take a moment to appreciate what this man has done. His sacrifice has been huge to make this happen. We're so blessed to be together. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Yeah. When we started this project, everybody, the OVC 36 units, everybody thought it was crazy, and it turns out maybe I am, because it's not that easy of a deal to keep these things going. But the people who believed in me in the beginning were Peter Brock and Ted Sutton, and myself. We talked to Jerry Schwartz to kind of put the thing together. And Peter was nice enough to allow us to build the first couple in his garage. And it was an exciting time. And we had a number of people that come over and help us as a freebie, so to speak. And there are a number of the guys in the room. And Randy Richardson, Mike Eisenberg, and Rick came over. And didn't do much work, but he said, but he said, but Jim's gonna make these, and they're gonna be a blast of a car, et cetera, and you got to build these cars. And Aaron, who's been very supportive, and Vince he's just he helps us with this car, and Vince is like the old time Phil Remington. That could do a little bit of everything, and was a great guy, and kind of a self-taught engineer. And I have a great deal of gratitude for Vince.
I get to follow you. Come on, you warned me about that. No, well, we're talking about what's happening right now, to present day, and LA SAC, we've been together for 35 years for our car club. You wouldn't be driving these awesome cars that they're building right now. They wouldn't exist. And we absolutely have to recognize that. And that's why we're here today. Unfortunately, we have a number of people that were gonna be here, but because of health reasons, they didn't make it. And we recognize that. So it's an honor to have all of the original guys that are in this room right now. And it's very, very important that we recognize that. And, with what's Vince doing, I've known Vince since he went to Shelby. I knew Gary before he was at Shelby. And, what they've been doing is really fantastic. You get out there now. If you're at the track today, you saw the brand new 2025 Shelby GT 350.
Oh, yeah.
Now that car has only been seen in public at Barrett Jackson last month. But I'll tell you, they're amazing. And they wouldn't be amazing without somebody like Vince. Come on up, Vince.
I'm humbled to be able to work for a company like this. And it's you guys that started it all. So there's no way that we could be where we are today without you guys that are all sitting in this room right here. So every day when we're designing and testing and all those kind of things, I just think about you guys. Which way would you do it? The new 350, we stopped and we sat back and we said, how would we do this car? How would Carroll do this car? If he was here today, what would he want to do? So we decided what we're gonna do is we're gonna start where you guys started, basically. So we gave it the suspension, we gave it the horsepower, because Carroll always wanted more horsepower. We gave it just a little bit of style, you know what I mean? Make everything to where you can afford the car, you can get into it. We want a car that we can, when you buy this car, you can hand it down through the family. I mean, all the cars, that are out there right now, these, that all came from you guys. So I just feel blessed to be able to work for a company like this, to be able to carry on the legacy. We do that every day, and I just want to say thank you to you guys.
So we won the FIA Manufacturers Championship in '65, and SCCA A production, B production, and 2 hot rod championships in USRRC. And so what does it take to do that? Well, it takes a lot of work. Even though you may know them as the high school ring people, they do world champions, they do a series, and so it's a well-known company that does quality work. And so I worked with them in putting the ring together. I had Peter take a look at it, because I always like to have Peter look at what I do. He's really a guru, and And I had told him several times he should be in F1 because whatever team he was on would be a championship team, and I firmly believe that.
Joe Freitas.
Joe.
Alan Grant. Alan.
Alan.
Come on, Alan. Bring it.
Wow. It's impressive.
All right now. Bring it. Dave McDonald.
Thank you.
Bernie Crutchmeyer, did a great job working on the GT350s. I was there on the travel team more or less in '64 and a big part of '65. And then after Ford killed the independent rear suspension project, the engineer that I had worked with from Detroit said, "Go back and finish high school and go on and do something. You can always come back and do this later." And so so I took his advice. Of course, my mom and dad told me that about 100 times, but sometimes I'm a little stubborn about things. So anyhow, but I took the advice of the engineer that I worked with, but Bernie went on and worked a lot with Jerry Schwartz and Chuck Cantwell to win the '65 championship, and then went on '66 and '67 in slightly different type of cars. A great group of guys.
So the stories in this crazy group of orangutans that worked for Carroll Shelby, I think each and every one of you guys were handpicked by God, because it took a very special person to want to be there, to have the passion to be there, to follow that personality of his, and your reward was tonight, the 60th anniversary of winning 6 championships in 1965. So I'd like to thank Jim Marietta for making this night possible. He did it Shelby American style. He did it without wanting any gratitude for it. He did it because he knew that he was part of a team, and that's what he did tonight. So thank you, Jim Marietta.